Alright, Freya got a relic this week, which is really strange because, you know, she just came out. But we're going to be making here a showcase of the actual effect of the relic. Yesterday I played a PvP showcase because I wanted to try to see how much better she would be with the extra stats. But this is the actual relic showcase, which we're going to be talking about what it does as we go in the gameplay. But first I would like to show my gear set for this gameplay of the new beast. This is the team. I was advised by my friend Eddie, who's been doing floor 3, that this is the best team in the game for the new demonic beast. And this is the gear set, just for the people that are going to be curious and might want to replicate. If you actually end up, making the relic and, you have Mael. So the only wild thing here for the gear set is Elat, which I use triple defense and resistance rolls in the middle for the most part. You want to have Elat with triple defense because you want her to be the one taking hits. You want her to have the least HP on the team. And the other ones are normal, HP defense for Liz with regular attack, defense, HP rolls. Mael, obviously just regular common gear. So is Freya, just attack, defense, and HP. And then for the back units, you just match whatever you have at the top. Except Mael, I actually gave him HP defense at the bottom because he actually ended up having less HP than Elat with attack crit on the melee here. So you just want to make sure Elat has the lowest HP. Then for card sets, this is the best card set because it just gives you 10% basic stats. One day we're probably going to get a better one. I suppose you can also consider this a Mael showcase if you would like. But essentially, you want to run a full goddess team because I haven't explained actually what the relic actually does because I thought I should explain while we're going so we don't waste any time. She now is considered a goddess, which makes sense because they want to run her with Mael. Clearly, Mael's damage reduction really matters. Like really matters because this boss does so much damage to you, especially in the second floor. So in the beast, she's considered a goddess. She's not considered a goddess anywhere else. A lot of people are asking if she could be running PvP with Mael. Unfortunately, they did not make it like that. When she uses a single target, you remove stance, which is very necessary for a lot of the stages. Especially in the second, third floor, where the boss is constantly putting up stances like counter, like the damage reduction. So you need to keep removing stances, and it was a big problem before this relic came out. Because you have to choose like Freya level 2 cards, which was so RNG based if you'd get that or not, right? And then for each card that you use, it increases all allies, all stats by 4% up to 5 times. It's just 20% all stats. And then she just gets 10% attack related stats if all allies are goddesses. I don't think... Oh, no, sorry. For every goddess race ally, increases attack related stats by 10%. So she really wants to be in a full goddess team. It's so strange because her relic is like full goddess stuff, and then her passive is like Ragnarok. So you know, if you can't beat floor 2 of this beast, a lot of you probably can beat floor 1 and you haven't really tried because there's like a way of cheating with King that I've already showcased how. And you probably can. If you've been beating floor 1 every week and you start beating floor 1 every week, eventually you're going to be able to make this relic from the 2 pieces you get by just completing every week, plus the 1 that you get from the shop. So 3 pieces a week, 5 weeks, that's a relic, right? So eventually you're going to be able to actually build this relic. But just by having this relic, will you be able to beat floor 2? No. No. If you're not running specifically this team, or a team that can competently do it, you will still probably have much of a struggle if you don't have Freya with a decent ult level, or Mael with a decent ult level. This stage is still incredibly hard, especially floor 3. If you can't even beat floor 2, I'm telling you right now, you will not be able to beat floor 3. People who have been able to beat floor 3 are people with 14 million box CC, 13.5 million box CC, or people with 6.6 Mael, which I personally now actually can beat floor 3, and I'll be attempting this week because Mael at 6.6 actually really heavily carries. But if you are not going to be 6.6 in Mael because you're a normal person and you're, you have a 1.6 Freya, this relic is not going to magically allow you to beat floor 3 or anything like that. So we're still going to be getting one more unit. My assumption. We're still going to be getting one more unit that's going to be made for this boss. It's probably going to be a Ragnarok unit. And it's probably going to be considered as a goddess, either going to be a goddess themselves, or I think Freyja is also going to get a relic that will make him be considered as a goddess. One big assumption people have been having, and you know, my friend Addy, who's recommended me this team, also told me, is that when Freyja gets his relic, it's going to like give you rank ups like Jormungandr does, and that will really help people actually be able to do this. So if you want to wait for that relic as well, I think would be better for a lot of you. And I haven't been explaining the beast as I go, because genuinely, in the first floor, you're just kind of brute forcing it and allowing Elath to, you know, pop about as many ults as possible so you can tank. Elath is only here because of her ultimate. As you can see, she gives, you know, the defense related stats, and that really helps you beat the beast. Without it, without Mael's damage reduction and Elath's defense related stat increase and immunity, it's like almost impossible to beat this thing. It really is. It's so incredibly hard. Now, floor 2 is the real shit. So let me actually talk about it. So in the first turn, here I push Liz ult. The real thing I want is actually to ult rush with Elath, not actually Liz, but Liz gives ultimate gauge and heals, so it's a necessary step, right? So Liz is, again, mainly here for the healing, but also the ult pushing. Ult pushing with Liz is huge. So Elath cleanses the debuffs. This is why Elath is like weirdly OP for this. She has a cleanse for all these annoying debuffs that the boss puts on you, and immunity, and defense related stats. I genuinely don't know what the character made for this beast is actually gonna do, because like, you need this, you know? And Freyja is gonna be just doing damage here, but also increasing my stats here, so I just wasted a Freyja card. And in this phase, I'm kind of like stalling a little bit, because going into the second phase without, you know, Elath ult ready and a Liz ult ready is really tough. The boss in the second phase does so much damage to you. So again, the stance removing from the relic is super huge now, because look, he puts up another like a counter there, and I need to remove that counter for me to actually do stuff, right? I don't know. It's super sketch the way they dropped this relic. They made Freyja look like a character that was not going to be good for this boss. So if you actually cared about the boss, you might have even skipped Freyja. Probably didn't, because, you know, it's Freyja. But, you know, really strange how they did this. So I left the Liz cards at the end because you don't actually want to remove his buffs. But since he had like no HP, it's fine. Because he gets like, you see how many damage reduction stats he got? So Freyja's relic actually really helps here because of the stance removal. But you see, in that first phase, I only really survived because Mael damage reduction plus the increased stats plus defense related stats from Elath just makes me tank so much more. This team, now with Mael giving damage reduction and everything, it's kind of made for it. But there's still a piece missing if you are not a huge whale. Like if I didn't have, again, Mael at 5 or 6/6, his ultimate will be hitting so much less, because you actually need to apply the debuffs for Mael's ultimate, which can only be applied if he's at 5 and 6/6. Really, really annoying that that's how it works. But, you know, the unit made for this boss is still to come out, so we're just gonna have to wait for that. So here I'm actually trying to push for a Liz ult for the third phase. The third phase is actually more about, you know, can you last as long than actually, you know, like in the first floor where you're doing like level 2 and 3 cards. You're just trying to last as long as possible. And Liz's ultimate really helps because Elath's ultimate actually does get removed by the single targets. And Freyja's stat increase really helps because, honestly, I mean, at this point right here, it's kind of a bit unfortunate. Freyja has less HP than Elath. I don't know how that happened, because supposedly the stat increase from Freyja is for everyone. So it shouldn't be the case where my Freyja actually ends up having more stats than Elath. But I actually do end up out HPing her. Or Elath ends up out HPing me. So I actually get Freya targeted, so I'm gonna have to like move my gears around. Maybe Freya would have to actually... Oh, I thought for a second I didn't kill there, and I just recorded this. But I actually have to have like the HP defense link or something. So in the third phase, you're just basically going for just doing as much damage as possible and just lasting, which again, for the AoEs, the Elat ultimate really helps you tank, but when he single targets you, he removes the buffs. So the Liz ultimate is very necessary. Like again, if I didn't have so much damage reduction and super high stats, like those would actually really hurt on a character that has attack crit as well. So this relic is helpful. If you were already, you know, almost beating floor 2, sorry, you will now be able to beat floor 2 with it if you pull for Mile, right? But again, if you were someone that was already struggling with floor 1 even, this relic might allow you to beat floor 1 now if you're copying this team. But if you're not running a full goddess team, this Freya relic is kind of weird. So again, in the future, we are probably going to be getting... Okay, so here I actually had to restart the game. I thought I would be hitting for more. Oh no, sorry, in the next turn I have to restart the game. Because actually I thought the Mael ultimate would hit for enough that it would just kill. But I actually had to remove those damage reductions with Liz instead, which was my mistake. Also, I wanted to go into floor 3 with max HP, but I ended up actually not even trying floor 3 that much. Because honestly, again, floor 3 is still a nightmare of RNG. And this Freya relic didn't make it less of a nightmare. It made less of a nightmare, actually, because you don't have to use Freya anymore. The stance removing part is huge. Huge, huge, huge. But that's about it. It's just more about the stance removal. And Mael with his insane ultimate 6/6. So, should you be in a rush to make this relic? I guess. But honestly, it will only become actually doable for a majority of players once a new unit comes out. And then a new unit comes out that's goddess, and then you also have this relic, then cool. Then it's going to be actually doable for a lot of players to actually beat floor 3. But for now, it's mostly the 13 million box whales that are actually still completing it.